Alright, so today we're going to be going over calculating exponential modulos using binary. So the first thing you want to do when you get a question like this is you're going to change whatever your exponent is into binary, which means that in this case we'll have to change our 27 to binary, which in this case will give us 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. So we have 5 digits in our binary, meaning that we need to make a chart with 5 columns. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, and now what we want to do is we want to put all our digits into each column. So we'll have 1, 1, 0, 1, and 1. Now, since your first column has to be a 1, because otherwise, if it was a 0, you just move to your next column that is a 1, because that number wouldn't exist. So, your first column is going to be a 1, meaning that you have to put whatever is inside the brackets to your exponent in the first column. So, we'll have 8, 1, 4, 7 there. Now, for our second, we're going to label it second, third, fourth, and fifth column. So what we need to do is if the digit of our column is a 1, we need to take our 8147 and put it to the power of 2, and now take that modulo 100,000, and then whatever answer we get there, we need to multiply it by 8147. So if we have a 1 as our digit, we need to do 2 steps. So our first step, as I said before, is 8147 squared modulo 100,000, which you can do by taking 8147 and putting it to the power of 2, which will give you a very large number of 66373609. And now you want to divide that by 100,000, which will give you 663. So now what you want to do is you want to take this very large number again, and instead of dividing, you're going to subtract it by the remainder from our division, which is 663, but we're going to multiply it by 100,000. Which in this case will give us 73,609, which is in between 1 to 100,000, so we know that we're on the right track. So now, as I said before, because we have the number 1, that means we need to do 2 steps. So this is only step 1. Step 2, when we have a 1 as our digit, is to take our answer from step 1 and multiply it by whatever is in the bracket, which is our 8147. And now we need to take this modulo 100,000. So now multiplying our 73,609 by 8147, this gives us another very large number of 599692523, and we're going to divide it by 100,000, which will give us an answer of 5996, which is the answer we're going to have to use in our subtraction. So instead of having a division anymore, what we're going to do is we're going to subtract 100,000 multiplied by 5996. So we have 599692523 minus 100,000 times 596, which will give us an answer of 92523, which is what's going to go into this column here. So it's 9592523. So now we can erase our work from this step. So now what we want to do is we want to figure out our third column. So we'll see that our digit is a 0, which means that we only have to do one step. And it's going to be the same first step as if we had a 1, which is taking our remainder, or what is in our column here, which is our 92523, and we're going to square it, taking modulo 100,000. Which, if we put into a calculator, 92523 squared, we're going to take it divided by 100,000. So this will give you an answer of 85605. And we don't really care about the decimals because that's what will actually give us the modulo. So now, instead of division, what we're going to do is we're going to subtract 100,000 times 85605. Which, again, if you put into a calculator, this will give us an answer of 5529, which is again what we'll put here. So now we can erase our steps for the third column. So for the fourth one, we see that our digit is 1, which means that we're going to go back to having to do 2 steps. So again, with our first step, we're going to take whatever our value was from our last equation, which was 5529, and we're going to square it, taking it modulo 100,000. Which, again, if you put into a calculator, when you divide, will give you 305. So if we subtract now 5529 multiplied or subtracted by 100,000 multiplied by 305, this will give us our new answer of 69,841. But we're not done, because since our digit was a 1, this means that we still have to do our second step, which is taking our answer from the first step, which is 69,841, and multiplying it by our original value inside of our bracket, which is our 8147. And now taking this and taking it modulo 100,000, which again, you just do the division, and since we made those numbers small enough to be put on a calculator, it should be pretty easy, because this will just give you a remainder, ignoring the decimal, of 5,689. So we'll just do our subtraction again of our 2 digits inside the bracket multiplied, subtracted by 100,000 multiplied by 5,689, which will give you an answer of 94,627, which will go in our fourth column. And now we've come up on our final step. We're going to check our digit one last time, which we can see is another 1, meaning 2 steps. So just like what we've been doing, we're going to take our original answer from our last column, our previous column, which is 94,627, put it to the power of 2, and take it modulo 100,000, which is going to be our step process for modulo, which is our answer, or a number that we want modulo, divided by 100,000, which will give us 89,542, ignoring the decimals. And now we're just going to do our subtraction again, which is subtracted by 100,000 multiplied by 89,542, which will give us our answer of 69,129. And now, just like what we've been doing, since it's a number 1 as our digit, we need to have 2 steps. And our second step is taking our remainder from step 1, which is 69,129, and multiplying it by our original value inside of the bracket, which is 8,147. And we're going to take this modulo 100,000. Which, if you put into a calculator, which is just dividing one last time, gets you an answer of 5631, which we will put into our subtraction equation, which we multiply by 8147 minus 100,000 multiplied by 5631, which will give us a final answer of 93,963, which is what we're going to put into our last column, which turns out to be our final answer that we're looking for. So if we erase all of this, we know that our final answer is going to be of 8,147 to the power of 27 mod 100,000 is going to be 93,963.